Hello, hello. It's Dr. Stephanie, your favorite life coach and physician. And I just wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about a topic that I think is really important for all of us. And I want to share a story about an experience that I had that I think really kind of illustrates this topic. So before I share my story, I just want to ask you one question. How good are you at releasing? How good are you at releasing? I know for me, I am very good at hunkering down and pushing through to get to the goal and to accomplish whatever it is that I want to do. And in that process, I don't always pause long enough to ask myself if there's something that I need to release. Because what happens is, have you ever felt like you're pushing, but there's like a 50-mile-per-hour wind coming towards you that you're pushing against, right? There's a little bit of resistance to what you're trying to do. Sometimes that resistance is because there are things that you have not released, and they're creating resistance in terms of you trying to push forward towards your goal. So that's why releasing is so important. So the story I want to tell you is many of you know that I left my full-time position as a physician, an employee physician, and set out to become an entrepreneur. But one of the blessings of that position that I was in for 10 years is that I made some amazing friendships and amazing relationships. And when I left, I was determined that I wasn't going to let those relationships just slide by the wayside, right? These are people that I had known for 10 years, that I had spent time with, spent intimate occasions and celebrations with, and I felt like they were part of my village, and I didn't want to let those relationships go. So I'm the type of person who will reach out and who will try to keep the connection going. And I have been doing that. I've been reaching out and keeping the connection going and gotten some great responses and been able to see them a few times since then. But I have found that I am the only one who ever reaches out. I was very shocked that they never reach out to me. And what I realized is that was an expectation that I had, right? I expected that they valued the relationships as much as I did, and that they would be reaching out from time to time to maintain that relationship. And the reason I knew it was something that I needed to release that expectation, is because I got triggered, right? When I would notice them sort of doing things and not including me, or I would reach out, I didn't get a response, it made me feel some kind of way. I felt kind of some kind of way. And I realized that those feelings were based on my expectations. I never had a conversation with them and said, okay, it's really important to me for us to maintain these relationships. And is it important to you? And how often are we going to communicate? And do we agree that we'll both reach? We never had that conversation. I just expected that they would do in turn what I was doing because I value the relationship. So once I released that expectation, I realized that I didn't get triggered, and I didn't have that feeling that they didn't value relationship, because they do value the relationship, but their way of expressing it is just different than mine. So now I can appreciate whatever interactions come my way with them, however it evolves. I just appreciate what is for what it is, whatever that might be. And that space is a much healthier space for me to love and appreciate and grow, not just in those relationships, but in all my relationships. So one of the things about releasing, one of the big things I think, is releasing expectations, because people will let you down if you have expectations. And not only that, you will let yourself down when you have expectations. So I have learned to not be attached to the outcome. I have learned to invest myself 100% in the process and enjoy and be present with whatever that is, but release my attachment to the outcome. And that has given me such freedom, and it has reduced the amount of resistance that I encounter when I am trying to move forward. There's so many different things that I have had to release, and I'm sure you've had to release. We all get a barrage of messaging, a barrage of energy, a barrage of uh, things, disappointments that come our way that we absorb energetically, physically. Sometimes it comes out in our physical symptoms. We have tight shoulders and we've got stress. We're not sleeping well. We're tired. All of those things are signs that there's something that we need to release. And I wanted to share with you just 3 steps that can help you release, that I use to help me release. The first step is to recognize. To recognize that there is something that I need to release. Like I said before, I'm the type of person who can push, 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 push. Never thinking about the fact that there may be something there that I need to release. I just kind of keep pushing forward. And so recognizing that I have something to release. And the way I recognize that is that I pay attention to my physical symptoms. Am I not sleeping well? Am I overly fatigued? Even though I'm getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep or in the bed for 7 or 8 hours, am I holding a lot of tension in my shoulders? Am I having an upset stomach or headache? And then emotionally, am I just feeling like I don't really want to do the things I normally want to do? Am I feeling down, sad, anxious? Anxiety is definitely a big one that points us to the fact that there's something we need to release. Or am I getting triggered? Are there certain things that are kind of triggering me where I thought, I was done with that. That's in the past. But it's coming up and it's triggering me. That's a sign that there are things that you need to release. So that's the first one, is to recognize that I have some release work to do. The second step in releasing is to reflect. And just reflect on, okay, what is it that I need to release? What has happened since the last time I felt like my best self that might be impacting me that I need to release? And just spend some time in reflection. For me, that can be prayer time, journaling time, meditation time, but really give myself a chance to reflect and figure out what that is. And then the third step is to release it. Release it. Whether it's expectations, whether it's that somebody hurt my feelings, whether it's that I didn't show up for myself the way I wanted to show up for myself and the way I know I can show up for myself, whether it's a toxic relationship, whether it is pain and hurt from our past, whether it's trauma, whatever it is, release it. And the ways that I tend to do that, journaling is a great form of release for me. I can put it all down on paper and just let it go. Talking about it is a great form of release. So I can talk about it with friends. I often talk about it with my coach. You can talk about it with a therapist, especially if it's something that has been there for a long time or something that's rooted in trauma, having a therapist or a professional to talk to about it. But you can also release by crying. Sometimes you just need a good cry, by screaming at the top of your lungs. You got the empty house to yourself. That's what empty houses are for screaming sessions. If you are an athlete, running, exercising, punching on a punching bag, ripping something up, whatever it is that you need to do, but let that energy flow from you. Because what happens when we don't release it, it gets stuck. It gets stuck in our bodies. It gets stuck in our emotional space. And it forms that resistance that is holding us back or slowing us down as we're trying to move forward and as we're trying to soar higher. So I'll get back to my original question. How good are you at releasing? Okay. All right. And if you need any help with releasing, I am here as a resource. Feel free to reach out. Bye-bye for now.